Rewired. This is me, my life rewired.
Welcome to Life Rewired, the show where the brain may pause, but the heart keeps on talking. Today, I am very excited to bring on Sherlyn Tanner, or Cher. She's an RN psychotherapist who lives in Ontario, Canada, and through her practice, Sparkle Kingdom Warriors, she supports people who function well in their current reality. She's also the author of The Adaptable Warrior. It's a set of challenges to self-care that can be attainable in the events of times of crisis. How are you doing today, Cher?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
And you do go by Cher?
I do go by Cher, yeah.
Okay, good. Good. It's a pleasure to have you on the program today. We were supposed to have you on last week, and because of my brain injury, I messed that up. So I'm so glad that you honored me to come back this week.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to be here.
Before we jump into what it's like to be an RN psychotherapist, um, your husband has a brain injury, correct?
He does, yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell me how that happened and how has that shaped your life?
Yeah, so the very short version is that he was in a motor vehicle accident. And, one moment you're riding a motorcycle and the next moment you are very different than you were before. So how that has shaped our lives, well, I became the primary caregiver instantly. And I'm going to tear up already. Here we go. Basically lost my partner overnight.
Mm.
So the injuries didn't show up like instantly fully, but yeah, it made it so that I have had to relearn how to function for myself as well as being basically the brain for both of us,
Yeah.
to make sure that everything in our household, in our lives, just all of the mundane things that you don't even think about that he
Hmm.
took care of. All of a sudden I was like, oh, furnace filter needs changed. Like, how many years ago did that? It's probably happened. Um, Water's tasting weird. Oh yeah, we have a water softener. Salt needs to be put in it. Like, just those little things that you've split with your
Yeah.
partner, and then all of a sudden it
Hmm.
becomes my entire responsibility.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that people are very, I don't want to use the word ignorant. I'm trying to think of a better word to use, but for the lack of the better term, I'll say their ignorance comes in, is that they feel like whenever a brain injury occurs, bam, all the symptoms are there. And they
Mm,
don't realize that you may show some symptoms in the start, but brain injury has this way of giving you little gifts along the way. Like, hey,
yeah,
guess what? Today you're not going to be able to say your numbers correctly. That's one of the things that I have to deal with.
yeah.
The first 6 months of my brain injury, I could count, 1 through 100, and now 1 through 9, I've got perfect. But after that, it's one
Kindergarten,
zero
yay.
and one. It's like,
Yeah.
it just is it a place that ever comes to an end? Who knows? But yeah, that's why these conversations are so important. What was some of the things that you started noticing early on with your husband?
He started saying that he felt like he was disappearing, that like his memories were just getting fuzzier and fuzzier.
Mhm.
And even though I'm a nurse and I work in a lot of different fields, neurology was not a field that I had ever worked specifically in.
Yeah.
So I wasn't super familiar with all of the possibilities of what somebody with a concussion or a brain injury could
Mhm.
experience. Um, and so, yeah, he kept telling me that, and I kept being like, "Nah, that's not a thing. That's not happening." Like, and that whole denial piece from my side of things. And he's like, "It's an etch a sketch that keeps getting bumped. The picture keeps
Yes.
getting less and less clear." And I'm just like,
Mhm.
"That doesn't make any sense." But then all of a sudden, he wasn't recognizing anybody.
Mm.
He didn't know who anybody was. He had no memory of any of our life, any of his life. It was it was literally an etch a sketch that the picture had been completely erased.
Yeah.
So it came on over the course of a couple of months, And by the time I realized it, it was like, oh, okay, we need to actually really take this seriously and do something about this, because clearly there's
Right.
more going on than what first meets the eye.
It's a dance, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of the things that I have issues with, and my wife has to remind me constantly, are people in our family that's passed away.
Mm,
We may have went to the funeral, and she'll say, "Well, you went to the funeral."
yeah.
And there's times I've had conversations with family members, and and after we're walking away, I'll say, "Do I know who that is?" "Yeah, you should. That's your cousin." "Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
forgot."
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see those connections with your husband.
And do you
Yeah.
end up, this is me asking you a question now, but do you end up feeling like um, that sense of loss and that sense of grief all over again when you realize, oh,
Mhm.
that person doesn't exist anymore in my life?
Yeah, for the longest time I did, I would re-mourn the loss all over again. And I finally got to a point, I don't know if this was the brain injury that did this to me or if it was just a conscious decision that I made,
Mm,
but I kept saying to myself, why am I mourning? Because A, I'm going to forget again. And then I have to relive that all over again. So in my mind, they're still alive. So I've always got that connection to them. So,
mm,
I don't know if I saw Uncle Tom. I don't have an Uncle Tom, but I don't saw Uncle Tom last week or 2 years ago. But in my mind, he's still alive.
right.
So yeah, but it's hard, and I don't know how people who have to continuously relive that, how they do that. But that's just one of the. I guess it's a coping mechanism. I guess you would call it.
Yeah. Yeah, you figure out how to be able to survive with what is.
I want to ask you about your book. What inspired you to write that book?
Where it kind of came into play was one of the first things that we got told when we finally got into a brain injury support program was pace yourself.
Hmm.
And like those words at that point in our lives did not mean what they mean now, because I didn't pacing my pace at that point and his had been full out. We were doing things, we were going places, like
Yeah.
we were living. And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden the pace completely changed. We came to a standstill and I'm still trying to keep going. And
Yeah.
I'm like pushing him and like we just need to do all the things and then you'll get better. But then overdoing it and, causing more burnout for both of us
Hmm.
and frustration. So where this came in, and I have the book right here, which is why I keep looking over here. So I might as well just show it to you. I took the little things that we could do. So when we were at our lowest point, when we were burnt out, when we were just struggling to survive, the just opening our eyes was a victory. Being able to stand in the shower or sit in the shower and just let the water run over us was a victory. Taking a washcloth and just watching our pits, I call it a field bath, pits and bits bath. Um, and just like that was a victory. Or making it to the bathroom instead of staying in bed and like ignoring your body
Hmm.
functions. It was so frustrating to me through that process because therapists would tell me, you just need to do more self care. And they'd suggest going for a 20-minute walk or having a long bath or, go and hang out with friends. And I'm like, that is so beyond the capacity that I have right now. It's
Hmm.
not attainable for me at this time. And
Yeah.
I wanted to target practice with the self-care wheel so many times because I'm like, you are not working for me in this time of crisis. So
Yeah.
I wanted to create something that allows for people to see that these are victories too, and to give
Mm.
them that little bit of hope and to celebrate themselves, because I feel like I'm not alone in the fact that I felt like such a failure for not being able to go hang out with friends or not being able to go for that 20-minute walk. Like, who can't do a 20-minute walk? Well, me, when I'm like drowning and trying to survive and figure out
Yeah.
what this new life looks like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People don't realize the load that the caregivers carry. The injury happens to the person, but it affects two people, not one.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of it's an invisible injury to the person that sustained the injury, but to the caregiver, they're doing twice the work, twice the brain function, and then the things that you have to do behind the scenes to protect your loved one from hurting themselves, it's
Yeah.
just unreal. My wife deserves a Purple Heart, which I'm sure you do as well.
I'm pretty sure we just need a wall of trophies at this point for our
Yeah, yeah.
service.
I mean, you guys are the unsung heroes, and my heart goes out to you guys because I would like to think that I could do it, but I don't know if I'm that strong.
Mm,
But when push comes to shove, you do what you got to do.
you do. And I'm going to throw this out there too, because sometimes, like, I'm not immune to having had the thought of it would be easier to leave. He would
Hmm.
forget me in a couple of days, a week, a month, whatever. I wouldn't exist in his world anymore if I was just gone and I could go live my life. But there was that bond and that love that I felt that I was just, for me, I couldn't I couldn't leave. That wasn't an option. And it is for some people. It Some
Yeah.
people need to take care of themselves, and I'm fortunate that my husband isn't violent, physically violent towards people most of the time. So I know some people with brain injury end up getting more physically violent and have those outbursts, and they
Yeah.
don't know how to control and manage themselves. And so I understand those caregivers who are like, this isn't safe, especially if they've young kids or, stuff like that.
Right.
So, yes, it takes strength to stay, but I think it also takes strength to leave when you need to
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah. I guess every situation is going to be different. Some of us don't have the whereabouts to know how we're acting out is wrong.
Mm,
I do have a friend of mine that's got a severe brain injury, and he knows that he has a lot of triggers. So he made a conscious decision a long time ago to just avoid situations. So, and who knows, maybe she put the idea in his head. I have no idea, but he knows, this is what I got to do.
well, and it's such a gift for the caregiver when our partner, if like I'm talking about because it's my husband, but I know there's other scenarios as well, but for our partner to put that trust in us and to
Hmm.
be willing to say, okay, you have my best interest at heart and you know how I am and you're willing to work with me. So I'm going to trust you that you are going to guide me to do the things that are going to be beneficial for me and for those around me. And that is honestly such a gift because if we didn't have that, I think that's why some people do need to make, unfortunately, have to make the choice to leave because they just
Yeah.
can't trust
Yeah.
their
It's
partner.
sad. I was blown away when I did the research and I found out how high the divorce rate is with brain injury. I'm like, wow, that's the time when people need each other the most.
Yeah,
But some people are not cut out for it, you know. And if you're not the kind of person that can give the type of care that the person needs, I can totally see that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's a tough road
it is.
for both
It's something that
parties.
I don't wish on anybody.
No.
So, how has the book been doing? Have you gotten really great feedback?
So we're in the pre-order phase right now with the launch coming out on October 25th. So we're like
Oh,
literally in the crunch time of the final days before it's like officially released to the world. But I've had a few people read it, and yeah, everybody that's read it is absolutely loving it. I've gotten feedback that this is going to be a really great resource for other therapists to have in their libraries to be able to support people. And I think also just to have that other option, like the self care wheel is great for thriving time. People who are already in a more thriving space, but then to have
yeah,
another tool to be able to say, hey, you're not in that thriving space, and that's okay. Here's some other options that are more achievable and attainable for you. Um, so, and everybody who's seen the cover are like, this is pretty much the reaction. And they just hold it. And I'm like, that is the best reaction ever. And you
hmm,
haven't even opened the book yet. Like, it just seems to be a grounding tool just to look at and hold, and we haven't even cracked the cover. It makes my heart just so happy every time I see that.
Oh, I can't wait to get a copy of it now. So, what inspired you to become an RN psychotherapist?
I've always been fascinated by the mental health field. I've had my
Mhm.
own challenges with mental illnesses as I've went through life, with different traumas that I've dealt with myself, even prior to my husband's accident. And so I've always wanted to be able to support people because I know what it's like to be in that space.
Mhm.
Um, so I'd been looking at it for quite some time. And then with my husband's accident and me needing to be able to find something that I could do from home that has more flexible hours, that I can kind of set my own schedule, my own pace with, this felt like a really good fit, because I can be as busy or as open as I need to be, as I want to be, and I can kind of let myself ebb and flow with where we're at in our seasons.
What has been something that you've learned from your clients? Have they taught you anything that's been like, hmm?
When you're open to being able to look at your challenges, at your traumas, and really face them,
Mhm.
and be able to look at where you are in your current reality, you're going to be able to start to shift and change that. So many times what I have seen stop people from being able to move forward is not being able to face the current reality of their situation. And when you don't know where you are, you can't figure out how to shift to where you want to be.
It's like a roadmap, You can't get to point B if you don't know where point A is. So
Yeah.
that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the people that are watching that might not have a clue what an RN psychotherapist is, can you tell us a little bit of what that entails?
Right. So I got my registered nursing, Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree, almost, oh God, it's like almost 2 decades ago. That makes me sound really old all of a sudden. But anyway, here we are. Experienced. That's what I am. I'm
There you
experienced.
go. Seasoned.
Seasoned. Yes. So I got my registered nursing degree and I worked in like community and in the operating room, for quite a while. And then the psychotherapist part is, in Canada, and I don't know how it is in other countries, or at least in Ontario, I should say. I'm not even sure about the other provinces. Um, but we can, with our nursing degree, if we feel like we have the skills, judgment, and knowledge, we can move into the psychotherapy aspect of things. So that's more the mental health counselor, therapist kind of field.
Is that a place that you foresee yourself going in the future, or?
Well, like I am the RN psychotherapist piece, like I do the counseling, the therapy type of thing.
Mhm.
It's just a different format of
Gotcha.
title, I guess, so you could say that,
Got-
for that same kind of field.
So what's next? What do you see on your horizons?
So obviously selling a whole bunch of copies of my book would be great. I'd love to see it in people's hands all around the world. Would be fantastic. It's currently available through my website. It will be available on Amazon, but order it through my website.
Mhm. Oh
Just because it
yeah.
helps me out, grow my audience and stuff like that too. But yeah, all around the world, in people's hands, in people who are needing it because they're going through a trauma, and people who are supporting people going through a trauma, whether that's as a caregiver or as a therapist. Um, and just if you're unsure of how to support people, this can kind of give you a starting point to just have a bit more of an eye opener into that crisis space. Because some people are very blessed to never have known that space, and hopefully they never will. That would be my highest wish for anybody, is to never know truly what that darkest days feels like.
Hmm.
But this kind of gives an eye opener for people, because chances are those people have friends who are going through that kind of stuff, and they're sitting there going,
Right.
I don't know how to I don't know how to interact with them. Like, how do I support? How do I
Hmm.
encourage? How do I show up? And this gives just the tip of the iceberg insight into that. And then obviously growing my business, my client list here in Ontario, supporting more and more people that way, but also speaking engagements. That's on my little like check mark. Would like to check that off my list too, and be able to go to different places and talk to people about this kind of thing, and support people in realizing that there's more than one way to look at it, and you're not a failure just because you can't do the quote unquote normal things.
Right. The awareness part is so important. Kind of what you were saying, I'm going to touch on that just a little bit because I've had people reach out to me that initially was like, "Why do I need to know about brain injury? I don't have a brain injury." But then people will say, "Hey, I just ran into someone that has a brain injury, and the things they were saying sound just like you. And I told them about your podcast, told them about your book. Da, 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 da. You just made my point why it's important to be knowledgeable at least about
Yeah,
what a brain injury is, because your house is not on fire, but don't you want to be knowledgeable in the fact of what to do in case that happens? You want an escape plan. You want a plan to have it in place till everyone's safe. So
yeah,
it's very important. And so I'm glad that there's people out there like you that are still fighting the good fight to help spread awareness.
yeah, because we don't know what we don't know. I didn't
Hmm.
know what I didn't know prior to this either. And I'm sure there's quite a few other areas in my life that I don't know what I don't know in those areas either. But having the willingness to learn,
Hmm.
even if you don't completely understand, being willing to
Yeah.
listen and support is so amazing.
I think of a lady that's in one of our support groups, and she has a book on her nightstand, and she's got a sticky note on it. It just says, "You're not 1-2 anymore." That's important for her because if she doesn't look at that book when she gets out of bed, she gets up and gets dressed and ready to go to school. So once she
Mm,
sees that note, it jogs her memory. Oh, wait a minute. I'm an adult. I don't go to school.
right.
Yeah. It's just the things that we take for granted, that even the simple things. And I tell people, um, for myself, just making a cup of coffee, you know, you don't realize the brain function that's going on behind the scenes. And the
Yeah.
number of times my wife has come in, she'll see me standing in the middle of the kitchen, like confused. Are you wanting a bowl of cereal? Are you trying to make coffee? She's going down the list.
Yep.
Yep, that one. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yep.
So yeah, it's something else you said. I want to. It just jogged my memory when you were talking about earlier about the bathing. There was
Mm,
times that I would get in the shower and stand there and go, "What am I supposed to do now?"
yeah.
Something so simple that you would think, "Oh gosh, it's just turn the water on," but I really had to sit there and think, "Now what am I supposed to be doing?"
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a new journey that no one signs up for, but thank God for people like you and my wife that are there to help keep us straight. It's been a pleasure talking with you today, Cher. I am so thankful to have you on, and I can't wait to see where this goes.
Thank you, Rob.
So, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and please share this with somebody because you never know what somebody might get out of this message. They may be going through the exact same thing that we've talked about today. So please share that, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.
Just re-inspired. This is me, my life rewired.